Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. And we have with us today, by sheer privilege, Dr. Olufemi Mosaku Johnson, and he will be sharing with us around using human resources to manage challenges in the public sector. For the purpose of those who may not know him intimately, I will share briefly with us about his career experience. Dr. Olufemi Mosaku Johnson is a major corporate governance, learning, and innovative business expert in Nigeria. He is the founder and was the pioneer registrar CEO, Association of Corporate Governance Professionals in Nigeria. Currently, he is the chairman, Hero Advisory and Governance Services. He is a graduate of public administration and has a master's in personnel psychology from the University of Ado-Ekiti, a PhD in organizational leadership from NW Florida, United States of America, is a chartered secretary and administrator, also is a chartered management practitioner, chartered personnel management practitioner, and so on. His work experience culminating in a successful tenure of 10 years with Law Union and Rock Associate PLC. He spent 8 years in Lagos State Public Service Staff Development Center and 5 years at the Nigerian Institute of Management. He subsequently moved to the Institute of Directors, where he also served meritoriously. He pioneered and led the Directors Development Program with a AAA rated Directors Learning both in Nigeria and United Kingdom. He is a member of the Board of Trustees and Secretary of the International Aeronautics College. He's also the Secretary to the Board, Medical Ethics, Governance Initiatives. He's a board member of Foundation for Value Transformation. He's a committee member, Lagos State Post Service Welfare Council. He's also the technical consultant to the Lagos State Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as an examiner with the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, Chartered Institute of Secretaries and Administration Nigeria. He is also certified as a corporate governance board leadership trainer, both in South Africa, and is also Center for Management Development, CMD, accredited trainer here in Nigeria. He's an alumnus of the prestigious Lagos Business School, School of Media and Communication. He is a published author and is royalty. He's from the Paramount ruling house in Agudaogba, Lagos State, and happily married with children. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking to us tonight on the topic, addressing workforce challenges in the public sector, HR solution. It gladdens my heart as I present Dr. Olufemi Mosaku Johnson. Please, let's show some virtual love. Welcome, Doc. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Very glad to be with you this evening. I'm sure we are going to have an enthralling time relating, learning, and working with one another. So what are we going to be looking at today? We are going to be looking at the Federal Civil Service itself, because we are talking about the challenges of the workforce in the public sector. We are going to look at how government carry out their functions and several attempts that have been made to better the performance of the civil service in terms of workers, in terms of staff development, in terms of learning, and so on. Yes, so that is the introduction. I mean, for all that we are going to be working on. Basically, let me start by saying that there is no country that can be better than the level of its learning. No country ever can be better than the level of its learning. Nigeria, from our research, we had a 3-month research somewhere sponsored by the United Nations. And we discovered that this country has the perhaps highest resources in the whole world. Hear me well, I say resources. I didn't say resource. Resources. Switzerland does not have resources. America does not have 4% of the resources of Nigeria. In most cases, what is needed is resource and not resources. And when we are talking about resources, we are talking about development. We are talking about learning. We are talking about how people can be able to actualize the dream of their nation. Can you imagine that British and its ISOs do not have 2% of our resources? And of course, what do we have? A British that is more advanced. I mean, 100 million times more than Nigeria. So you can imagine that countries like Sweden and so on, they are a part of the first world, and Nigeria that with its resources is in the third world. I want to say also, it is on record. I was at the Institute of Directors still in 2016 when Yakubu Gowon came to Abuja to address our conference. Yakubu Gowon said Dubai, Malaysia, and Singapore, they came for loan in our country. That was in 1974. The loan couldn't be, according to him, he said he couldn't give them the loan because he has approved the loan, but coup took place. To that extent, he could not be able to give them the loan. But what bothers me is not about giving the loan. What bothers me is basically about the fact that those three countries, they came for loan. Now, where are they and where are we? Those countries, where are we? Where are those countries today? Singapore, one of those countries, moved from 1979 to 1984 from third world to first world. And we asked them, what is the secret? What is the secret of you coming from third world like us, moving to first world? What is the secret? And they told us that the secret is MPH. MPH. We asked, what is M? They say meritocracy. Meritocracy. What is P? They say policy pragmatism. Then what is H? They say honesty. And I looked at the three. We do not have the three. Up to this morning, we do not have the three. We do not have meritocracy. In fact, in the last couple of years, it has been very, very horrible. We do not have it at all. No meritocracy. Now, when it comes to policy, pragmatism, we do not have it at all. And of course, all of us know that we do not have honesty. So how do we build a nation? How do we build civil service? And we are talking about reform. Reform has to do with change. And if a nation refuses to change, that nation will be in chain. And today we are in chain because we refuse to change. And what is this change we are talking about, especially for the purpose of public sector reform? A process of effecting change in order to make things work better, in order to make things work better. And what are the interventions that we put at producing a fundamental change involving innovation of months? I've been dealing with innovation. I was with a major national oil company Monday, Tuesday, teaching only one thing: innovation, then modernization and attitudinal reorientation. Where do we have it? Attitudinal reorientation in terms of values and service delivery. Where is our value? What is our value in a country that is prone neck deep in corruption? Where is the value of that country? How can we have a great public service? How can we have workforce that can be able to stand with its continental and intercontinental counterparts? How do we have that? So do we have some of these things? It's a big question. Innovation, it's very, very clear. When we are talking about public sector development, workforce development, we are going to be talking about innovation. Do we have it in a place where people don't even understand how to make use of computer system, where there are no tools to use in official capacity? Modernization, attitudinal reorientation. These are key issues that we need. Then values, what do we value? So it is very, very important. So what is the purpose of this reform in the public sector? What is the purpose? It's the quest to bring improvement in both the processes and quality of service delivery. So why do we need new civil service reforms? Why do we need civil service reforms? One, because of erosion of public values. Values have been terribly eroded. Somebody told me that assuming he was able to bribe EFCC, he wouldn't have gone to prison. So where is the value? Who are the people to stand for value? So everywhere in the public sector, there is erosion of values. The senior people that are corrupt, when the younger ones are saying, why do we do this way? What do they say? They say, go and wait for your turn. Then we have aging workforce. Aging workforce. What happened today? I'm not happy about it. Making judges to retire at the age of 70. When many of them have lied before about the age, it then means that somebody will be 90 years old and is still a judge in Nigeria. When they are coming in at the point of entry, they have lied about their age already. Now you now say, okay, officially that guy is 70 years, but his biological record shows that the man is 89 years old. So this is a very, very serious issue. Weak or inappropriate organizational structure. In most cases, there is no structure. Structures are so lopsided that people cannot even be able to pinpoint any form of chain of command in the structure. Poor succession planning. One day, I was invited by one of the government agencies to train their staff. I flew to Benin for me to discover that the people I was to train, they were old people, old human beings. I asked why? Why should I fly from Lagos to come and train these 70-year-old people here? They said, of course, when they were working, they retired and they have to bring them back on contract. Why? Because there's nobody to take over from them. I say, if it is in China, if you are retiring and you cannot be able to bring two people that you have coached, you have mentored, you have counseled, you are not going to get your entitlement. So we have to be training people who are normally retired people, who they bring back, telling us that they are on contract. So what happened to the people inside? Who is training who? Who is coaching who on the job? So that somebody will retire and there's nobody to take charge of his job. You have to bring him back on contract. You have also unproductive work operation system, ghost workers all over the place. I learned yesterday that children are even collecting salary in some states. Children, they list them among the salary earners. They list them among the people that have been paid. Some people, they are retired for a long time and they are still collecting salary. I learned yesterday that 89-year-old human beings are still collecting salary from the federal government. And of course, it's going on like that. Then lack of accountability in producing budgets, accounting system, and procedure. So all these are basic challenges. In fact, they are very, very terrible challenges that the public sector are facing. So we are looking at why do we need reforms? Why do we need reform? Reforms are the most important thing is for us to look at it. Why do we need to reform all these sectors? We have poor condition of service and low remuneration. And of course, today I will learn also that the salary of the civil servants are going to be increased. We learned that Edo and Kwara, they increased from 30 to 40,000. I wonder what 40,000 can do in this terrible economic climate. Then you have also poor and ineffective leadership at the sector of the government. Poor and ineffective leadership. There are two connotations of leadership. One is competence. The other one is commitment. When you don't have the two, or you have one, there's a problem. I call it 2 C's of leadership: competence and commitment. When you have a situation where you have a leader that is only committed, he's not competent, you have a tragedy in your hand. Or you have a leader that is competent, extremely very competent, but is not committed, you have a terrible problem in your hand. But considering a situation where you have a leader, it can be a governor, it can be a permanent secretary, it can be a director in the public service, that is not committed and is not competent, what result do you want to get from that kind of a person? Then you have lack of innovation. Some of these problems, lack of innovation, there is no innovation. The same way they have been doing it since 1971, 79, 89. That is the way they continue to do it. And there is no way you can be able to get any result from that. There is no way you can get results from that particular situation. So it's a very, very serious case. It's a very, very serious case. Then you have absence of systematic thinking. Training. What kind of training do you have? Jamboree training. Everybody, they are going to training because of allowance. They are not going to train because they want to go and learn something new, because they want to add value to the organization. The reason they are going for training is for them to be able to just get allowance and move on. Then inadequate deployment of communication, of technology. Today now we are in an era of information superhighway. Without communication, we cannot be able to move. Now look at it now. Today we're in a VUCA world. And if the public sector is not geared towards preparing for VUCA, there's going to be a problem. What is VUCA? The volatility. We're in a volatile world. Uncertainty. Everything is uncertain as it were now. Everything is uncertain. Then C, complexity. You have a serious complex situation in our hands now. And I'm saying that if anybody is going to be the president of Nigeria, you don't need to call him president, you need to call him project manager, because a lot of things is happening in a rush. Then of course, the ambiguity. You have ambiguous situation, terribly endemically ambiguous situation. That is what we have in our hand now. So how do we juxtapose all this? How do we put all these things together? So looking at all these issues, there's no way we can be able to actually mitigate against challenge that we face if all these are still with us. What are those things? Poor sustainability. When there is no ownership, there cannot be sustainability. Lack of training and accountability. If you don't train them, why are you blaming them? If you don't train them, why must you blame them? Slow or lack of automation. There is no digitalization. There's no way anybody could have moved from there. None or slow release of funds. The funds are always in short form, paucity of funds. And when the fund comes out, it is embezzled. Lack of performance incentives. There's no performance incentives. There's no performance incentive. We are saying that there is no motivation. There's no motivation to work. Inefficient communication, coordination, and monitoring. I want to say, and I want to put it on record, the Ministry of Agriculture in Nigeria does not know what Ministry of Youth and Sport is doing. Ministry of Works does not know what Ministry of Women Affairs in Nigeria is doing. There is no coordination of effort. There is no synergy. There is no integration. And there is no way you can be able to move forward with that. Inadequate stakeholder sensitization. When you want stakeholders to be part of what you are doing and so on, you need to sensitize them. You need to make them to know basically what you are working on. So all these are very, very clear. They are very, very important. So how do we achieve all this? Federal Civil Service Improvement Program. How do we achieve some of these things? There has to be improved staff competencies and skill. It is very, very critical. In order to mitigate against these challenges, there has to be improved staff competencies and skill, improved productivity and HR administration. There has to be clear-cut human resource administration in the public sector. I've not seen it clear-cut. I've not seen it at all. Result-based performance and meritocratic environment. What we have is nepotistic environment. There's no way you can achieve anything there. Even in our national football team, when there is no meritocracy, we cannot produce 11 that can beat the whole world. Out of over 200 million human beings, we cannot produce 11 that can beat the whole world. We cannot. We find it difficult to produce ordinary 11 that can beat the whole world because there is no meritocracy. There is no way we can achieve the best so that we can be able to move forward from there. Clear career path value proposition. All these are lacking. All these are not available. They are not available. Then we need more innovation. We need more innovation, value-driven, and digitally transformed civil service. You can't dispense with this. You can't do without this. Without this, you don't have a civil service. How do we achieve all this? Building of capacity and talent development. Performance management. Look at IPPS. IPPS, human resource. It is being shrouded in secrecy. This issue of IPPS, some people are manipulating the digital back end. So you can imagine, people are still putting ghost workers in the list of the people to be paid. So innovation is very, very clear. It's very, very clear that we must bring it about. We must bring it to the fore. We must bring innovation to the table. Then digitalization, content services is very, very important. Then staff welfare has to be in place. When people can get the best out of them. So it is very, very critical that welfare is basically brought to the fore. It is very, very clear, very, very important. It is very, very cogent that we put together staff welfare package that will make somebody to desire to work with the federal government. I saw a particular resignation letter somewhere in Ogun State. They tweet on the social media. A particular, that guy is, I think, is working with state government and so on. And the resignation letter reads, a letter of resignation, content, bye-bye, and he signs, and he dropped it, and he left. That's the letter of resignation. The heading, letter of resignation, the content, bye-bye, and he signs, and that is the end. So all this has to be addressed. Leadership and coordination is very, very important. Culture change, very clear. Change management system, partnership, leveraging of technology. This cannot be emphasized too emphatically. Data and analytics has to be introduced into the federal government system. Digital skills, conducive work environment. You can imagine, in most offices, there is no window. There is no window. There is no window. There is nothing. Nothing is going on. There is no air conditioner in the office. There is no atmosphere of neat atmosphere. Everywhere is drab and dirty. So there's no way you can get the best from the staff. All right, monitoring and evaluation is very, very important. Effective communication, political buy-in, inclusive engagement, everybody is carried along, not in terms of bribery that we say, oh, carry us along in terms of, no, inclusive engagement. Let everybody be part and parcel of that sector. Funding and timely release of funds is very, very critical. Is very, very important. So it is very, very clear that when we put all this strategy in place, we'll be able to achieve the best that we need to achieve. So, and how do we make this plan to be possible? How do we make this plan to be possible? High impact prioritization on interventions is very, very important. High impact prioritization on whatever intervention that we want to bring into place, specific and actionable implementation, strong change management and communication plan, clear governmental structure, and also a partnership value that we bring to place. So putting all this together, we are talking about now, how do we now begin to develop the workforce? So there has to be a vision for it, there has to be mission, and there has to be core values. So now looking at our own public sector, we say the vision is to build a world-class civil service for accelerated national development. Of course, we know that we are not there. Let's look at the mission. The mission to provide a productive and efficient workforce that is merit-based. That is merit-based. Of course, all of us know that what everything is based on is who you know. Who you know. That is what everything is based on, and so on. Accountable and responsive to citizens and other stakeholders. We know that we are not accountable. We know that one of the major problems is that we are not accountable. And all these are very, very critical. Then the core values. Talk about it. Again, meritocracy. We talk about it, we put them down, but we never practice it. When we say we are talking about meritocracy, you have parastatals. Out of 36 appointees, you have 35 from one section of the country. And we are talking about meritocracy. So this is totally out of place. Then professionalism. Professionalism is very, very important. Loyalty. Loyalty is the twin brother of nationality. To have some measures of love for one country. Today now the love has totally gone south of our country. If you bring a plane now, that whoever want to go out of the country, you don't need any visa, you don't need any travel document. This is plain. Whoever that wants to go can go. I'm not sure the people that will remain in Nigeria will be up to 5,000. So there's no nationalistic view anymore. Then efficiency. So all these are very, 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 very critical. So what we are talking about, what are the prioritized initiatives of the Federal Civil Service in Nigeria? We say first, capacity building and talent management. Capacity building. These are the ways that our workforce can basically achieve the goal and the vision that we saw in the last slide. Then performance management system. A performance management system is such that you don't promote staff because it is another year. You promote staff because he has performed and he has merited promotion. So, but what we have today is that, okay, it is our turn to be promoted to the next grade level. no any performance, no nothing. Everybody is just being moved from grade level 2 to 3 to 5 to 6 without any form of performance measurement. What does that shows to me? It shows to me that you are playing a football match without goalposts. That is what you are telling me. Then the IPP, IS, and HR module, where they are the payment system of the Federal Civil Service in Nigeria is being taken care of, has to be restructured, has to be re-engineered. Then the issue of innovation is very, very key. You can't do away with innovation. Innovation is to look for a better way or better alternative in the way we do things. So you have to look at better way of service, better way of delivering service to the community. Today now, nobody cares about delivering service to the community. Of course, if you go to the government, you want any service, you can't even get it. The only service you get is tax. That's the only service that's the only place that is basically working in government agencies. It's only tax area that is working. Every other area is not working. And of course, we continue to go like that. So we have to look at it and ensure that we do what is right for us. Then the issue of digitalization is very, very critical. Today now, we are in an era of information superhighway. So the best for every one of us now is for us to be able to move in that pathway of digitalization. So every sector of the MDAs, everywhere in the public sector, there has to be digitalization. It's very, very important. It's very, very key.
Okay, I can't hear him anymore. I don't know if it's me.
I can't hear him either. I was thinking it was me too. Okay, let's wait for him for his voice to come round. I suspect it is network. Interesting conversation so far by Dr. Femi Mosaku Johnson, as usual. Okay, his network has taken him out completely. So we'll just wait till it comes back. One of the reasons why I am particularly fascinated and motivated to, reach out to Doctor to share strategies, how we can improve the civil service at whatever level, is particularly because of my own experience. My father worked with an institution called NISA in Ibadan, Nigerian Institute of Social and Economic Research. And he worked as if he wanted to kill himself, literally. Yes, around 2 in the afternoon, he will come to school to pick us up, take us home, and then go back to work. Many times I lost count. Growing up as a kid, I'll wake up, say 1 a.m., 2 a.m. to ease myself, and I will see my dad doing office work. On a similar note, my mother was a teacher for 21 years. So much later, after maybe when I went to university, and I began to hear some insinuations in certain quarters that the civil service, that they are laid back, they don't do much. I was taken aback. I couldn't relate. Of course, my first real experience was in Taraba, in Jalingo, and the coppers, I was serving there back in the days, and you will hear Ministry of No Work, or you will hear, oh, it's only 24, 25, or 22nd during the pay period that you see some semblance of activity, or when a governor is around. I couldn't believe it. Looking back now, I almost want to say that, is it that your other colleagues were fluffing around and you, just because of your personal work ethic and orientation, were hardworking? I just couldn't place a grip on it. And I've, of course, met several other civil service. I'll give an example. Yeah, in Lagos. My wife is a civil servant. She's a medical doctor. Only given the worst case scenario, 7:30, she's at work. She's a sojourn. So I still can't relate. All the, so to speak, civil servants in my personal space are extremely hardworking. My mother-in-law of blessed memory was Lagos State Nurse of the Year, 2006. So I think there is a lot more that we can do, but I also have a feeling, strong feeling, that there are a lot of quality work being done in certain spaces in the civil service. There are multiple exceptional professionals across the board, but maybe they don't get celebrated enough. Okay, I was hoping I'll be able to ask Dr. Femi that question, because it looks like, sometimes a few bad eggs tend to, just like we as Nigerians today, if you are not careful in certain quarters, they will almost think all of us are Yahoo. Meanwhile, a very infinitesimal proportion of our youth are involved in this particular activity. For me, the federal government or the state government is as good as the civil service. And I look forward, sincerely, going forward when, the best of our best will aspire to work in the civil service. And of course, will work in the civil service. Not that maybe you didn't get job, so to speak, in the oil and gas sector or in the banking sector, then you now come back there, or just because you know somebody that knows somebody. It's not a crime to know someone, but there are also good people who will better serve this nation. I think it may be back. Let me just check. Dr. Femi, I think I've made you co-host now. Hello, Dr. Femi, are you back? Okay. He's sharing his screen. You need to unmute yourself, Doc. The good thing is that the network you are using, Doc, is not provided by NITEL. So it's not a civil service thing. It's private sector that provided you with your network. Welcome back, sir.
Yes, thank you so much. I had a rude distraction and so on. I'm so sorry about that. Sorry. So we can proceed.
Yes, sir.
So we ended up in digitalization and so on. And I said it that it cannot be emphasized too emphatically that there's the need for the civil service environment, public sector area to be totally digitalized, so that, of course, we can actually meet up with our continental competitors, which is very, 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 very important. Of course, like you're saying, as I was joining, the civil service is a last resort for many people. Many people wouldn't have choosing to work in the civil service. Even many of them that are there now, it's not because they want to work there. It's because that was all for them. And so the pillar that we enable the service to be able to achieve its goal, one, productivity-induced process is very, very important. When they have productivity-induced process, but in this case, that you don't need to produce anything. Nobody needs any performance delivery from you. All you need to do is to show up around 10 and to run away around 2. That was what I was at the Federal Secretariat in Abuja some time ago. By 10, it was only cleaners I saw. And assignment and 10:30, 11, and so on. Productivity is very, very critical. is very, very important. Somebody should be held accountable. Somebody should be held to bring to the table some sort of monitoring and evaluating is very, very important. Management, essential to function of management. It is very, very important that you have planning system, you have management system. So how do we bring all this together? How do we bring all this together? We have prioritized initiatives, digitalization of content services, digitalization of the service, creation of official email address for all civil service and public servants. We put this because I know that many civil servants don't even have email address. Many of them cannot even open a computer system. It's very, very key. It's very, very key to note. So long service-wide professional ICT staff skill, very, very important. Acceleration of digitalization, procurement and implementation of content service solutions. So all these are very, very critical. So what are the enablers? What are the enablers? What are the things that can make a public service a place that people will desire to work? A place that people would rather choose to work. When you have leadership and coordination in place, it is very, very essential that you have this in place. Then, of course, consequence management. What does that mean? If somebody does anything that is wrong, is made to pay for it. The punishment is not only punitive, but it is justiciable, and everybody see that somebody is punished for a particular offense and so on. Then the next one is change management is very, very important. We talk about technology and digital skills is very, very critical. Then data analytics is very important that we introduce this to a federal system, or even at the state level, this is introduced. It is very, very important that everything is done having reserve of data, research, analytics, and so on. Then the culture change, the culture change, the change, attitudinal change from within, for people to be able to see that this is good and this is bad, to see that this is corruption and this is the right way to go. Culture. And of course, today, what do you have? Culture of corruption everywhere. I went to the prison some times ago, and the warders, everybody's at every point, you are bribing the warders. Warders are being bribed at every point. And I sat down there and I was looking at what was going on. It was horrible. Prisoners, I saw a prisoner, a very, very VIP prisoner in Nigeria, coming from outside the prison. He went to have a meeting somewhere and he came from outside the meeting. I learned that he has also gone home to give birth to 2 children while still a prisoner in Nigeria, and so on. So the corruption I saw there makes police corruption a child's play. So culture of change has to be introduced. Then, of course, the number 8 here, conducive working environment. It is very, very important, where you have an environment where people dress neatly to go and work and so on. But today you can see some of them even put on slippers. I went to one and I see somebody using showing stick around 10 a.m. and so on in a public environment. I mean, so these are some of the issues that has to be looked at and so on. Enablers continue. You have monitoring and evaluation. You don't just leave people to their own. You control what they do. Number 10, effective communication across the board. Number 11, political buy-in is very, very critical. Number 12, inclusive engagement. And then number 13, funding. and timely release of funds, because in most cases, when you get to federal establishment, even state establishment, not to talk of local government, they talk about, oh, there's no fund to do this, there's no fund to do that. There's no project that is going on because everybody complained that there's no fund and so on. And of course, what do we have fund for? You have fund for embezzlement. So yesterday, I think I arrived at a point, and I said that you don't need to give fund to any of these people. Give the fund to the contractor, let them do the work, and so on. So it's a very, very complex situation, because when you give the money to those people that are in charge of the local government, state, and so on, the money will disappear. A rat or whatever, or whatever they call it now, is it the one that is climbing the tree all over the place, monkey, we carry the money, and money will not be available anymore. So all these are very, very critical. So now the challenges, improved staff competencies and skill is a big challenge. Many people entered into the civil service and they live like that. There is no any added value. They cannot do anything. That is why many of them, by the time it is time for them to go, they are venting anger all over the place, because he has nothing to go and do. He has not, added any value to himself. He has not, received any competencies or skill that he can use outside of the work environment, and so on. So all these are very, very important. Improved productivity and HR administration is very, very critical. It's a challenge. The results-based performance and meritocratic environment. These are challenges of the public sector environment. Clear career path, value proposition, all these are challenges. Innovative system is a challenge. Value-driven and digitally transformed environment, these are challenges that you have. So you have a series of policies all over the place: National Anti-Corruption Policy, National Ethics and Integrity, Freedom of Information Act 2011, Public Financial Management policies. You have all these policies, but many of them are hardly implemented. You have Treasury Single Account, Financial Transparency Policy, Open Treasury, Government Integrated Financial Management System, GIFMIS, Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, IPPIS, Public Procurement Act 2007. These are fantastic policy, except that not actually being worked on. They are not actually being properly implemented, and so on. So all of them are hanging all over the place. So national anti-corruption strategy, because there is no way you can have a corrupt civil service and you want to ensure progress in the workforce. You want to have a world-class civil service like we tend to say we want to have. So all these are very, very critical. So they're founded on these 5 pillars. Prevention is cheaper than a cure. You know, we are in a place, we were discussing outside the country, and of course we are talking about EFCC. We are talking about ICPC. You know, I think it was in Netherlands, and of course, one young lady said that, what is ICPC? What is EFCC? We say it is anti-corruption agency of our country, and we are very, very happy to say it, and so on. And the lady sympathized with us. She said, why do you need to fight corruption? All you need to do is to prevent corruption digitally, and there'll be no corruption. She said she started to lecture us. She said there is tendency of corruption everywhere in the world, but all you need to do is to prevent it. You don't need to go and be fighting corruption. You don't need to be looking for people that are corrupt all over the streets. You don't need it. All you need to do is to prevent the corruption. Enforcement and also sanction. Is the sanction stiffer enough? How many people have gone to prison as a result of engaging in corruption. So all these are very, very critical. Engagement, campaign for ethical reorientation is very, very important. So all these are issues that are very, very critical. Let me just spend the remaining 10 minutes to be looking for solutions all over the place. So focuses on 3 levels of implementation. How do we implement some of these issues, especially in the public sector? Strengthen the legal and institutional framework designed to prevent, to combat corruption. So I believe that what we need is to prevent corruption rather than to fight corruption. I told you that somebody told me face-to-face in Abuja that assuming he was able to bribe EFCC, he wouldn't have gone to prison. He went to prison for 7 years. He said he wouldn't have gone to prison. It means that if he has good money, he can buy his way out of the prison. He wouldn't have gone to the prison. So if the legal system is strengthened, it will go a long way. But today, where is the legal system? Where is the anti-corruption machinery? Where is it is fraught with corruption. Every step of the court, from clerk of the court to registrar of the court to the highest level officer in the court, they are an embodiment of corruption. I don't need to look around. I see it every day. Then mainstreaming anti-corruption principle into governance and service at the national level, at the MDAs, mainstreaming anti-corruption principles, so that the principle will be there. Everybody will see it. My children, when I wanted to collect, my last children, I wanted to collect birth certificates for them. I discovered that when I got to the Ikeja local government, I discovered everybody was bribing. Everybody was bribing. And I said that, why do I have to bribe? Because I saw written on the paper, free National Population Commission, free of charge and so on. I said, why do I have to bribe to get this, since it is free and so on? Of course, I was terribly and thoroughly delayed. And until I started to say, why are you not attending to me? You are attending to everybody and so on, because they are giving you money and so on. The organ now said, give this man, let him carry his trouble away from this place. They delayed me and everything before I was able to get the certificate for the children. So it was horrible on that day. I was terribly and thoroughly delayed, just because I wanted to do the right thing. So you have it all over the place. Everybody will go and bribe for one reason or the other. And that is the whole emblem of the public service. So we need to mainstream anti-corruption principle into subnational public administration everywhere, to state, to local government. Everybody should be able to see it. So it is very, very, very important. So now we put this together, national ethics and integrity policy. These are the things that should contain in it core values of the national ethics and integrity. Number one, human dignity is very, very important. Human dignity is very important. You can't just, like I learned that the governor said today that LASTMA cannot arrest any human being, cannot collect fine from any human being. But what do you have all over the place? They open the car, they remove the person driving the vehicle, they enter, they drive the vehicle at will. Human dignity everywhere is being subjected to erosion. Voice and participation is very, very critical. And this is very, very valid issue. Patriotism, where do we have it? Patriotism, personal responsibility. Personal responsibility when you see something, to say something, to ensure that wherever you are, you stand against what is wrong. Integrity. I've said it time without numbers that the major crisis of our country is the crisis of integrity, not the crisis of Boko Haram or IPOB. The major crisis of this country is the crisis of integrity. Then national unity, bringing everybody together. We are not here by accident. So everybody is here by a force that is beyond everybody. So we must have unity among ourselves. There has to be fairness among ourselves. There has to be coming together of every act. Everyone must knit together, knowing that we are from one source. Then professionalism at every point is very, very important for us. So Freedom of Information Act, we will not be bothered so much about that. Public Financial Management, TSA, IPPIS, and gifting. So these are some of the issues that you can see. Public financial management is very, very important. And what are we talking about there? Public Procurement Act. When we are talking about public sector reform, we need to look at some of these issues that are very, very critical. Open competitive bidding. But what bid are you having? The bid that the man that is giving out the bid, it is giving it to his family members. In corporate governance, we are bothered so much about what is called conflict of interest. But you see it all over the place. You see the man, supplying the place, goods to where his wife is the director. So some of those issues are very, very critical. Honest, transparency, and accountability. We have mentioned this, and it is very, very important. Value for money. Then financial transparency, set minimum financial report standard, requires daily publication of true statements. Then details of all payment above for MDs above 10 million, and for the Office of Attorney General of the Federation above 10 million. And so these are very, very critical issues and very, very clear guidelines that the public sector can work with. Institutional level ICPC initiatives bring some of these issues, but what bothers me about ICPC EFCC is that we don't need to fight corruption. All we need to do is to prevent corruption. And we have mechanism to prevent it. And if you don't have the mechanism, call for help. So all these are very, 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 very important. Very, very important. So governance and corruption, as I'll be rounding up governance and corruption, these are some of the bane of public service reform, and also workforce itself. There is no way they could have given their best in the atmosphere of ABC. What is ABC? Articulated bribery and corruption. There is no way they can give their best. Spending often occurs even when there are indicators of poor governance, yet we still begin to spend. National component of importance, government effectiveness. Do we have it? Government effect, part of which is the role of the Senate and House of Rep. Up to today, as I'm speaking, I've said it on AIT Kakaki in the past. Up to today, we do not know the salary of rep. We do not know the salary of a senator. Despite the fact that I'm even thinking as a corporate governance person that we do not need bicameral legislation in Nigeria. All we need is unicameral. We need one of the houses to go and rest, to have one. And I've said it that if we continue to houses, not only that we go to continue to borrow money from China, we are soon, very soon we'll go to Togo and Niger to borrow money, because those two houses, they are too costly for the country to be able to muster. So government effectiveness cannot be ensured in the atmosphere of largeness for nothing. So all these are very, very important. I've even suggested that even one house, and then you have what is called what? Part-time legislation, like they do in other countries. Part-time legislation, you don't need. So you have effective government, effective governance system will be in place. Then control of corruption, not fighting of corruption. No. Not when somebody is corrupt, now begin to look for them all over the corner of the street. No, control of corruption, then voice and accountability. And what is corruption? Is the use of public office for private gain. There's no way the government can actually function properly, and there's no way workforce, of course, will not be distracted in the atmosphere of corruption. So we need to also separate governance from corruption. Some are very, very obvious. Selling official position. You can imagine if somebody wants to get a job in very key government establishments, they are buying the slots as much as 3 to 5 million in this country. So when somebody comes in, his lot was bought for 5 million, and you want him to come and perform in that office because he has bought his place. He has bought his seat in that place. So he behaves, I mean, however he wants to behave, and so on. Then kickbacks, when you offer a particular job, whatever bid that you bring to place and so on, then you go and collect your own cut at the back, or outright theft that we have all over the place. Other are less clear. Sometimes it is simply mismanagement, inefficiency, inertia. Incentives are often wrong in some places. Tracking of performance is a problem. We cannot track the performance of the staff. So all these are very, very important. So finally, what do you do to improve government effectiveness? Better incentive for workers, employment security, recruitment and promotion criteria that is clear, capable management that has capacity, that are well-trained, well-rounded, with great resource. Then raise accountability, improve oversight. Sometimes inspectors improve performance. So let there be improvement in oversight, improvement in supervising the staff so that they can be able to give that which they tend to give. So I'm just rounding up. That's to improve government effectiveness. The staff, the workers, address who pays, raise formal fees and ban informal payment, contract out with pay for performance. Then let there be citizens report card. Then local oversight can be helpful in this place. Control corruption. Look at the spending of the government. Look at the way things are being marshaled out. So the cost of supply will decline with the use of price lists and transparent purchasing, more information to citizens about public spending and performance, make government accountable to committees. Government oversight board is very, very important. Now, finally, this oversight board is very important. Every parastatals of government must have a board. And we have discovered that it is political exposed people that have been appointed into the board. And in most of the cases, they don't even know why they are appointed in those places. They don't even know. They thought it is my turn to shop. So the board is very, very critical to us. So every of the parastatals must have a functioning board. The board has to be evaluated. The board has to be efficient. The board has to give their best. And in this case, we do not have all this. All that we have is political patronage. Now, when you have a situation, you have a situation of electrical fault in your house, and because your friend is a barber, you now ask him to come and fix it. I don't know how that can work. So that is what we have been having. There's no merit, and there's no honesty, there's no integrity, and this actually has affected the way government workers actually have performed. And also there's no performance system of any kind. What we have is just promotion. After 2 years, I am due for promotion. And so there's no measurement, analytical measurement of performance. And therefore there is no return on investment of every staff in the public sector. Thank you very much. I appreciate my time with you this evening. Thank you very much and good evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Femi. This has been highly educative, enlightening, and also enriching. We'll be able to take maybe 2 or 3 questions or comments. Please join in this conversation. You have some solutions. You want to share experience. We would like to appreciate you. You can just unmute and ask Doctor your question or share with us your solutions.
Good evening.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Doctor. This has been a very enlightening session, and I just want to appreciate you for the great delivery and the passion So,
Thank you.
I share your passion for
Mm.
this country and
Mm.
indeed for wanting to improve the civil service. So my simple question is this: what can we do to help? Because it's not enough for us to, we know what the problems are. We experience it when we go to the offices. How can we in the private sector actually support, you know, to help improve in that area without necessarily, without necessarily, even if it's not for business, but what can we do to help really? And is there a channel that one can kind of like offer one service to help, you know? Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. I think there is the need for help. I think what is happening today calls, I guess one of the ways by which we can help is to arrange some sort of capacity development program like this that they will attend perhaps free of charge, so that people can come, they can compare notes. Video can be shown to show how civil service are operated in other countries. And this can come through the state SL secretary to the state government. In the federal, it can come through the secretary to the federal government. The discussion can be held with those people at that particular position that, okay, we in the private sector, where we have come together as a consortium and we want to offer help. We want to make things to work in our country. Incidentally, we do not have any other country except in this one. Even if I get the citizenship of another country, they know that I belong to one country. They know by my skin. They know that I'm deceiving myself. They know I come from somewhere and so on. So this is my country. So what do? We come together with, first of all, in the area of capacity building. Now, I said it now. This we are talking about Singapore. Singapore has nothing on the ground. But Singapore is the #1 most developed nation in the world. All the world bodies, United, UNDP, ILO, WHO, UNICEF, about 115 of them are headquartered in Switzerland alone. Why do they have that opportunity? It's because of the resource. It's because of the capacity of those people. It's because of what they know. And if you don't know, you cannot flow. So I think we can help in the area of capacity building and come together. Yes, thank you. Shola Awe.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Well, good evening, doctor. How are you doing? And good evening, everybody.
Fine, good evening.
I've listened quietly, and when I listen to everything, and it's an observation. I work in the public sector, I work in an agency, and it's not as bad. It's bad, but it's not as, for my agency, I'll speak for my agency, it's not as bad as, you have painted all this. But what I'd like to say, whilst this idea of collaboration is not a bad one, I believe that this problem is endemic and it can be resolved if we actually, I'm talking about we now, the Nigerian government or whoever, we're actually interested in changing the system. How do we source our leaders? We don't have visionary leaders. How are these people recruited? People that haven't done anything in their lives are thrown into positions of authority. So they don't even have any experience. They don't have anything to offer. Now, everything is politicized, either through religion, ethnic, and what's it called? So how do we even recruit these talents? We don't recruit talents. And unfortunately, we have problems in the employment market. So what we do is we gather everybody and bring them in. And the government itself needs to tell us what exactly they want to do. Is a social service, or is an engine room for economic development. So the government itself should explain. And if the government is able to balance these things, because on one side, they want the economic development, they want things to improve. But on the other side, they want also to improve the social development by employing people. And unfortunately, the civil service that is supposed to be the engine room should have first class, employees, because they are the ones that design the policies that even the private sector that would even create the enabler environment. But it's the other way around in Nigeria. It is the private sector that we look up to create the enabler environment. So who creates the policies? We don't have people that, we have some, but the critical mass is not there. So even if you give these lectures or this pro bono, whatever, capacity building, it still will not help. It still will not help because people are not interested. So that's my observation. But for me, in my own agency, and you know very well, Doctor, it is not as bad as what you are painting, but it could be improved. It could be improved, actually. It could. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Awe. You said something that they are not going to be interested. If they are not going to be interested, then I think that leaves much to be desired. I think there is the need for everybody to be interested now, especially for the purpose of development of the country. I know that from one agency to the other, it's not as that bad. I have worked in a government agency before, and it was not as bad as what I'm seeing in other places. I've gone around this whole country, and I've seen that no, we need to do something. That's what I'm saying. Some of these things, they're product of my experience. Like the one I told you that I went to the prison to see somebody and so on. I mean, it was something that I didn't read newspaper. I went to collect birth certificate for my children. They're in the university now. I didn't read it in the newspaper. I was there myself when everybody was bribing, except one man that refused to bribe. So you see, it's a very, very complex issue. But that does not mean, as a management person, I know that for every management problem on earth, there is a solution, and we are going to bring solution. Even part of the solution, we are going to bring them out tonight. So thank you very much, madam. Very grateful. Yes, I think Ajilara see your hand before Ahmed Abdullahi. Can we have Ajilara Adekunle?
Yeah, Adekunle Ayilara, actually. So
Ayilara.
good evening, everyone. Good evening, Doctor. It's been refreshing to listening to you all evening. So I want to chip in what I feel the government needs to do to reposition the public service to actually deliver the goods. I come from a family of civil servants, like decades, like generation-wise. And I happen to be one of, I'll say one out of maybe 50 that decided to not go into public service. This is because over the years, with my interaction, I've seen smart people go into the civil service and their creativity spark dimmed. So what I feel the government needs to do is to remodel their recruitment processes. There was a time late last year, there was a silent recruitment into one of these very lucrative agencies in Lagos State. And the only way you can get a shot at it is by going through one of the 5 commissioners. We have this Ibile, so there are 5 commissioners assigned to each division. That's the only way you can get to it, and you just can't get into it unless you know who is who. Yes, I had the opportunity to reach out and get into it, but then I thought about it and I was like, if I move into public sector, I'm very radical, and it will affect my creativity. I'm not good, but then it will affect the little that I have. So I feel the government needs to start hiring based on competence and not by who you know, or you've said all this, but I think they need to work on this because the government agencies or government employment now is seen as a safe haven for people that just want to relax, enjoy government money until they retire and then get off it. But the government needs to move from consumption, from the employees consuming just the money without making any productive sense to the populace, and until the government or the change maker in the public sector work together to change this perspective. Nothing. We can only talk from morning to night. Nothing will change. I'm saying this because I live almost everyone in my family. If you're not in a government, you are working for one of these third-party companies, working with not even agencies. For example, there are government outside agents, third-party agents that works for the government, maybe in revenue generation and all that.
Yes.
So
that's
they are
saying.
all okay. All right.
That's what we are saying the same thing.
All right.
Yes,
So,
Mr. Ailara, I think we get you very, very clearly. You see, when the entry point matters. If you want to have a very solid, fantastic, result-oriented public sector, the entry point matters. Who are we bringing in? And I said about the fact that some people are selling slots, bringing in all kinds of people that went to forge certificates, people that have no business in any area of public sector. We have them there all over the place. We have people who cannot even write their names working the civil service, and they have a lot of certificates. So what do we expect? What do we expect this kind of human beings to deliver? So it is very, very important that we watch our entry points. Thank you very much, Mr. Ida. Yes.
Thank you so much. Last year and early this year, I did an executive program at Lagos Business School. And they are reputable for case studies. We did 1,001 case studies, but there's one particular case study that was fascinating. And it was around Dora Akinyulu's of blessed memories work at NAFDAC. For me, it was extremely refreshing that when a civil service parastatal could be the subject of a positive case study. And I like the fact that at least it's not like it is 1960 or 1970. It is in this
recent memory.
Recent memory, at least everyone on this call most likely know who Dora Akinyulu is, and she was able to make a difference, a huge difference. Even today, even though she's not there, you still see that semblance of our effort, of our dedication, of our sacrifice. I'm just trying to say this to also buttress what Mrs. Awe has said. It's not all bad. I can even say also that there are even, and I'm sure Dr. Femi too knows, of even so-called private sector organization that has corruption endemic in their operations. So it's a national disease. But on this platform, we try to provide solutions across all the sectors of our national life where we have HR professionals. And some of our colleagues have been saying we should do something specific for the civil service. And that's why we are excited to bring Dr. Femi tonight. Mr. Ahmad Abdul, you are recognized. You have the floor, sir. Perhaps we'll end with your contribution and Dr. Femi will round up. Hello, Mr. Ahmad. Just unmute and speak, sir. Mr. Abdulaziz.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Doctor. Good evening, Mr. Oliemi, my dear colleagues. Good evening.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
I'm speaking from Abuja.
Okay.
I want to concur with the last commentator. I'm a public servant who have spent like 17 years.
Mm.
And like I always tell my colleagues that are here to listen to me, the only regret I have in life is to join public service.
Huh?
I've never had any type of regret. Of course, Madam Howell will say it is not as bad as being painted. Or if you have 80% of something that is bad, you can generalize that it is bad.
Hmm.
I work in an office who knows about the entire public service. You don't earn salary unless it is sanctioned by my office.
Hmm.
By virtue of that, I've been to all government agencies in the Federation, for God be the glory. And it is nothing to write them about. You can't be there and see that this is what is supposed to be called public service. Most unfortunately, public service is supposed to be the engine for development for
Absolutely.
any economy. By study, we have been to 83 countries to see what is happening in those countries with respect to their public service. Best brains are there. I want to use my personal experience, permit me to. When I joined, I competed among 83 people to vie for just one position, and to God be the glory. I was chosen among the 83. I knew nobody. That was at the twilight of Obasanjo's regime.
Hmm.
But you will discover that such a person that you chose among 83, of course, it did not mean that others were dollars before I succeeded. They were very, very good. Today, I regretted joining public service completely.
Hmm.
I'm an economist, I'm a chartered accountant, both
Hmm.
of Nigeria and England and Wales, and
Wow.
even ACCA.
Wow.
I had three masters in economics, rural finance, and public policy, all MSc. But it is nothing to write home about. If you don't know anybody who is going to help you, you are even have everything, you are wasting your time. I've been to CBN, I've worked in all these places, not just that I went to visitation, because we are sent there. Even 3 months, go and see what they are doing, come and advise government. When you come around to come and write your reports, where do you start from? The NAFDAC you just mentioned, Mr. Liam, if you go inside and see what happened there. I worked with Madam Dora. She was frustrated. When one person is righteous and everybody is not, it can't work. My belief, sir, and where I believe it should start, is the issue of recruitment.
Hmm.
Go to anywhere, where is recruitment done? Even in EFCC, where do you see publication of recruitment? All you see every morning is a new face. Every day is a new face.
New face and resuming.
Every day resuming. I went to mosque, National Mosque today. We followed His Excellency there, and I saw a lady in our bus.
Hmm.
When did this one join? They say she just came. How come?
Hmm.
It should surprise you to know that in last year, December, Ministry of Labor laid off about 500 people that were wrongly employed, and they had collected salary for almost 8 months before they terminated their employment. Federal Ministry of Labor. That is the hub of labor in Nigeria public service. And so on and so forth. So, Madam Howell, I don't know where you work, but if you dig down, you see that maybe 10% of you are actually working. If 10% are working, that means the 10% should be paid, others should go home.
Ritualization.
Because they are going to be disturbing others that want to work. When you see your colleagues that are working, some are walking around. When you come in the morning, you see somebody's bag on the table, they have gone to Wuse Market, and so on and so forth. Even CBN. What they do there is playing solitaire on their system. It's very, very pathetic. And the reason is very simple. These people were not employed righteously because it's who brings who. So for you to sanction them in the first place, do you know his father? Do you know his godfather? Everything steps back. This prison that you said, sir, I had a
Yes.
place to take me to prison last year.
Mm.
The people there, they requested for bribe in 3 different beats.
This one was
Until
8.
I was showing them my ID card. 3 different beats.
8 beats. 8 in my own.
Three. In your
Yes.
3 different beats until I was showing them my ID card. Oh, Sean, sir, we didn't know that you are coming from here. Oh, Sean, sir, we didn't know you are coming from. If I was nobody, and I had to do what I wanted to do, as a Nigerian, you will be forced to comply. So please, sir, this probe will know something. I don't think it will work. Just like he said, they are not ready to listen. Yeah, that is the truth. I've told you. On our record as at today, sir, federal government has almost 800 agencies. Don't forget, I told you, for them to be paid, including CBN, by the Act of National Assembly, you have to come to my office. So we know them.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir, but the thing is, you see, I just, I don't believe there is no hope. Do you understand? I don't believe there's no hope. And that's the message I'm hearing. How can we?
There is no hope.
I know,
but
Mr.
the hope is like a thin air. That's the truth, man. With utmost respect, man. I discussed this thing with my directors. Today, after we returned from mosque, I was worried and I was, how are we going like this? When you have a level 16 officer that cannot write original copy collected by me.
That is so true.
I see it, not that I'm just talking. In fact, I didn't want to join the program until I saw the topic. This FC, I'm a contributor to it, sir. So God be the glory. TSA, I'm a contributor to it. IPPIS, I'm saying my office, so personally, I am a contributor to it. I joined civil service as a high flyer. But for God, honestly, it's a very big regret that I joined. I joined service at the age of 23. At the age of 23, with a high hope, because that is where you can contribute to the development of the nation. Where that is not achieved, I don't think there is hope. Every private sector is regulated by one office in the public sector or the other. You cannot compete with the people you are regulating. Is that not regulatory capture? A lot of things have come back. You, our elders, maybe when you dig down, you can get the solution for us. But for me, I've almost lost the hope. Thank you, sir.
Let me just give this 1 minute, then you round up. As a matter of fact, I paint the picture that bad because of what I've seen. I've seen so much terrible things happening. In fact, in most cases, I'm an eyewitness to some of these things. It's endemically terrible, but there is hope. And I know that there is hope. Now, in your own space, in my own space, in his own space, in our own space, if we can be able to make our space and create atmosphere of value-driven change in our space, you will discover that every space will be getting cleansed. We'll be getting all over the place. I went to the place, everybody bribed. I refused to bribe. Even the wonder, they were wondering, who is this thing? I refused. When Nigeria is not managed, I cannot survive without bribing. And for all the years I was there as the head of training, I never bribed any human being. And everything that never was achieved before I got there was achieved. I was the best staff of the year throughout all my stay at the Nigerian Institute of Management. The same way, when I got to the Institute of Directors, they say it is not possible. I say, if you say it is not possible, move away from the way. Let me move. The only thing is that he that will stand for what I'm talking about will work 10 times harder than normal human being. 10 times harder. So we can do it. I have hope. In fact, I have 2,000,000% hope that we can achieve it. We are not going to keep quiet. We are going to continue to work. We are going to continue to advocate. We are going to continue to appeal to the minds of the people that we can have it. So, Mr. Ahmad Abdullahi, we are going to engage more on some of these issues. And I know a lot of things will be done through some of these interventions and advocacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, let's take Tolulope, and that will be the final contribution or question for tonight. Tolulope, you have the floor, please.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for this section. It's so wonderful. I've not had much experience. I don't even have any experience with public service or anything like that. But with what I've heard and everything that we know around us, it is not easy to effect this change. The change should begin with, let's say, children. The way the children are growing up right now, they learn corruption from young. What they do is corruption. So how do you want to change the future when the corruption is being taught from childhood? So that's why I think it's very, very difficult to effect this change. There is hope, but we need to change our education system. They need to learn integrity. They need to learn value from small, from when they are very young, before this change can be effected. Unfortunately, right now, I don't believe the government have any interest in schools and education right now. They are not really invested in it. So I think what they need to go back to is the beginning. The school, they should go and train them from young. So when they learn integrity from when they are very young, that's when they can uphold it till when they get into the system, and then the system may change. So that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tolulope. We have to obviously close this session in spite of the ongoing conversation, but like the good Nollywood movie, it will always be to be continued. Let me just read a few comments here. Oyedele Anna says, the art parties, we are told not to say the truth. Mrs. Sholawe said, we are trying, but it is a daily struggle. Mr. Abdulaziz is saying, Mr. Tolulope, please don't join public service. So you have been warned. All right, let me see. Oyedele Anna says this topic is very lucrative. Someone talks about nepotism, reticism, and so on and so forth. I would just like to end on this positive note that I would like to celebrate all the civil servants, both at the national, state, and local government, both currently serving or who have served in the past or who have retired. We celebrate you. We know the kind of dexterity, hard work, and faith that you have had to apply to your services, and we do not take it for granted. For that teacher in that secondary school or that primary school, that civil servants, we celebrate you. Please don't give up. Please keep the faith. And let's continue to encourage and support everyone within our scope of network so that we don't give up. The truth is, there is no nation that can be better than their government bureaucracy. There is no nation that can be better than their government civil service and administration. Thank you so much, Dr. Femi Mosaku Johnson. 2 weeks ago, you were here. Today, you are here again. It's not because you are idle or because you are available. It's because of the commitment you have for knowledge and sharing of knowledge. We know you are super busy. We know you are also super occupied. We thank you on behalf of everybody who has joined this call tonight and those who will watch on YouTube subsequently. We'll continue to celebrate you. I pray for you that iwájú la mama báyìí, gbogbo nǹkan tí ẹ dáwọ́lé máa yọrí sí rere. Ní ojú ẹ̀mí yìí, Nàìjíríà, Èkó máa ṣe máa dá sí. Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, all the senior people in the house that came tonight, thank you so much. Madam Dorothy Tunde Ajala, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I celebrate you. I see my sister from LASHMA, Lagos State Health Management Authority. Thank you so much, Madam Olufunke Lunge. Thank you so much. Mrs. Sholawe, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I won't mention why you work tonight, another night, but thank you so much. You are doing great, and of course, your sector is doing great. Thank you so much, all our contributors tonight, Mr. Ahmad Abdulaziz. Many thanks to Lulupe. Thank you so much. We do not take any of your comments or contributions for granted. Let's keep flying the kite high. Over. Doctor.
All right.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Thank you much. All right.